Good evening. I'm Ed Kriz, Chair of the Roseville Grants Advisory Commission, here to welcome everybody to the September 14th meeting. If I could have a call to order and roll call.
All righty. Chair Chris? Oh, can you hear me?
The what?
I asked Chair Chris.
Yes, present. These
Vice
masks.
Chair, Vice Chair Carroll?
Here.
Commissioner Reed?
Here.
Commissioner Haywood?
Here.
Commissioner Perez?
Here.
Commissioner Bussier?
Okay, well, good. First thing, as part of the meeting is the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you could all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. First agenda item we have is public comment. This is for anything that is not on the agenda tonight that someone might like to bring before the commission. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the next item. This will be the minutes for the July 13th, 2021 Grants Advisory Commission. So our commissioners have a copy of those in front of you. Are there any comments on the draft as presented? Okay, I'd entertain a motion.
Also move. Commissioner Haywood.
Commissioner Haywood moved approval of the draft minutes. Get a second?
Commissioner Perez, second.
Commissioner Perez, second that. Motion approved. So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that goes forward. Okay. Next agenda item. Staff, would you like to introduce item 6.1?
Yes, so 6.1, we would like to introduce, which is where we wish to give the 2021 Grant Citizens Benefit Fund and REACH recipients to present their organization's program and efforts, including the impact and results for funding received. Presenters will have a maximum of 5 minutes. There will be a timer, and the yellow light will go off when you have 1 minute left.
Okay, well, great. Before we actually get into the presentations, I wanted to kind of give a little bit of a background in regards to why we're doing this and why we're providing this opportunity. So over the last couple of years, the Grants Commission worked to go through it was really a completion of a 2013 community needs assessment that was done and an evaluation. And we went through that, and one of the things that became clear is there's a lot of nonprofits that are in the city of Roseville that weren't aware of the grant funding that was available. And secondarily, there was also a lot of people in the community that weren't aware of the great work that was being done by the city of Roseville and the nonprofits in the area. So this is really kind of an opportunity for people to come forward in a public forum to be able to share the successes and what they're using this money for. And then we'll be able to then celebrate that and then let people know and inform people of this great work. Now, for me, this shows some foresight that the previous leaders in the city of Roseville, when the hospital was sold back in the early 90s, to take that money and not spend it, but to actually take that money, put it away, and then take the interest earned from that and roll that into supporting nonprofits in the area. And it became clear to me that that was one of the things that sets Roseville apart from other communities. It makes it that special place where we're able to support those organizations that are doing great work in the community, and we want to continue those things. So this presentation is really about celebrating those successes, celebrating that legacy and that history, and also seeing and hearing from our recipients just exactly what you're doing with those funds, and hopefully this will help catapult us as we move forward in continuing this effort as those funds continue to be available. So with that, we have those that have RSVP'd. So I would love to hear from those, and I have a list. We've put them in no particular order, but the first presenter tonight will be the Pedal Connection. So if you can come share with us what you're doing, and we'd love to hear.
I will. Thank you. Can I take this off?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks so much for having me. My name is Jennifer Airy, and I am the founder of the Pedal Connection. And I thought no better way to share with you how the funds have been affecting people other than play.
Hello, this is Beverly Hobson, and I got a beautiful bouquet from Meals on Wheels today. Said it was made by Peggy and donated by Save Mart Supermarket. Anyway, it's the most beautiful pink flowers with lilies in it, and it's just gorgeous, and I just want to say thank you very much. And so I just enjoy them so much because I have a sore leg, and I'm just kind of housebound, babying my leg. So anyway, I appreciate your flowers. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. So sweet. We get those, so I said, we get so many of those. We usually get them on Wednesdays, and Wednesdays are the day that we do deliver to Meals on Wheels, and you just kind of sit and wait for the phone to ring, because partnering with Meals on Wheels is a time when they get a bouquet from us with their meal. And these are they are Roseville residents, they're shut in. And we've all know what that feels like now, right? We've all become shut-ins this past year. So now more than ever, we see how important it is and what we do. And we get these calls that are just warm your heart. Obviously, they just want to let you know how grateful they are. But really, we're bringing the outside in. We're bringing the beautiful colors and the smells of these homebound people. During COVID, I started to volunteer for Meals on Wheels because we were closed, and I got to see up close and personal. And sometimes I would develop relationships with them and ask them, have you ever received a bouquet? Oh, yes, I did. And it was so special. And I put it right here and I watered it, and it makes them feel special. So many of these people are just forgotten. They're that forgotten few in our community. And so it's been an awesome, awesome program for us. It kind of fits right in line with our mission of just spreading kindness throughout the community. So we were awarded a $10,000 grant from Your Citizens Funds. And so far, even in this weird year of being open and close, we have donated just to Meals on Wheels over 1,000 bouquets. And so it's been an awesome mission for us, and it's allowed us to grow in a different way. It's helped us, your support has helped us to get back on our feet and purchase some different things that keep us going. So we're really grateful for that. And I know that's a great measure of success, but it was also a great measure of success was being able to add a third day. Earlier, before this grant was given to us, we were only there Mondays and Tuesdays, and we were able to add a Wednesday. And through that, we've been able to affect just more people being volunteers. We are grateful and thankful. We have a pretty substantial wait list. And I think because it's a positive thing to do, like these volunteers that we have are so happy to be there. It gives them purpose and meaning in a very bright and happy way that also enriches their lives. When we started, that was something I didn't realize how much it was going to affect the volunteers also. And then I found through the Meals on Wheels program, the drivers get really excited the day, which I love because I was a driver and I thought that's one more thing to cart and, push around the neighborhood. But they like it because it is so powerful to be able to do something good for someone else and something bright. And so they get excited to also deliver them. So it goes beyond the recipient. And that's what we're so grateful for. And I know this is a bizarre year, but for us and your giving our mission purpose and support, with the new program, the Grow Row, we're continuing it. I mean, I know we've gotten past the day, and we see no problem with it ending because we've been growing our own flowers, so we've been flourishing, and it's really been able to let us to spread out even more. So we're super excited how the two programs have come together to grow, so we're expecting it not to end, and we're excited about it. I mean, just like I said, just the faces of even the people who deliver is just a great measure of the success. And we are super thankful for you and your support of the Petal Connection. So,
All right. Well, great.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As far as the format of what we're doing here, is this opportunity to maybe let some of the other commissioners weigh in or have questions or that sort of thing with our presenters?
It's up to your discretion.
Okay. I would like the opportunity. Otherwise, you just have to listen to me all night. So, commissioners, is there anything that you might like to share in regards to your observations?
I'd like to share.
Okay.
Jennifer, one of my favorite days as a commissioner was getting to tour Petal Connection upon your invitation that came to all of us commissioners. It was a fantastic opportunity to get to see you guys in action, and it's indescribable. It was fantastic to get to see what you do. Thank you for the good work you do for our seniors.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We love it. Yeah, keeps us going. So thank you.
Okay.
And I'm
Any other-
sorry, I have our own board meeting tonight, so I apologize to everyone else who's presenting, so I'm running out the door. So thanks for letting me do it first.
Okay. Jennifer, thank you
Have a
very
great
much for what you
evening.
do and what you do to the community. All right. Thank you. Okay. Presenter number 2 is Lighthouse Counseling and Family Resource Center. Okay. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Gary McDonald. I'm the Executive Director of Lighthouse Counseling and Family Resource Center. I took the liberty of updating you not on just the last cycle, but this cycle as well, because I thought that was important. First and foremost, I want to thank the City of Roseville Grants Advisory Commission for funding Lighthouse's mission over the years. Last year, the commission funded Lighthouse in the amount of $25,000 to in part pay for counseling staff for a new Roseville location. We did, in fact, use 100% of the funds to help pay for 2 counseling personnel that work out of our Roseville office, centrally located at 735 Sunrise Avenue. Since we opened up an office in Roseville, we have witnessed a 33% growth in the number of Roseville residents we are serving. Annually, we serve approximately 4,000 people out of our offices located in Roseville, Lincoln, Auburn, and hopefully soon Rockland. This year, the Commission granted Lighthouse $25,000 again to provide evidence-based counseling services to families negatively affected by COVID-19, specifically to reduce the growing number of domestic violence cases, child abuse and neglect cases, suicides, and suicide attempts. The funded project is entitled Preventing ACEs in the Age of COVID. ACEs, as defined in the proposal, stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. The higher number of ACEs a child has experienced, the greater risk for chronic illness, mental illness, violence, and being a victim of violence as an adult. During the height of the pandemic, we provided the majority of our services remotely, however, completely uninterrupted. As the rate of COVID cases decreased and became more manageable, in other words, understanding better how transmission can be prevented, we were one of the very first nonprofits to reopen our offices to seeing our clients in person. To date, we have had 0 cases of COVID in our offices. Our Preventing ACEs in the Aces of COVID has been very successful. Our program outreach has led to additional Roseville families seeking counseling for help for themselves and their children. Sadly, as a direct result of COVID, we have witnessed a 40% increase in suicidal ideation in children. The parents are always taken aback when we notify them that during their child's counseling sessions, our counselors discovered that their child had contemplated suicide as an option to deal with their increased stress, anxiety, and depression resulting from social isolation and increased levels of familial violence they witnessed inside their own home. Together with their parents and their children, Lighthouse counselors were able to provide the family necessary tools to address the root causes of the stress, anxiety, and depression, which has led to higher functioning and happier families. In fact, 97% of the families that receive counseling services from Lighthouse report a significant increase in stress reduction and healthier social interactions at home and at work. Because of our tenacity to serve Placer County families at the highest level possible, we're proud to say that Lighthouse was selected Nonprofit of the Year for the past 5 years in a row. This year, Lighthouse was named California Nonprofit of the Year for 2021. It is the highest honor the California State Legislature can bestow on any nonprofit. Not only are we efficient, we are effective. Not only are we effective, we're efficient. Over the past 2 years, I'm proud to say that for every dollar that we spend, 96 cents funded our programs, making us one of the most efficient nonprofits in the United States. The average for nonprofits is about 80 cents. Again, we're at 96 cents. Our efficiency means that your grant award goes further in serving Roseville families in need. Together with generous donors and dedicated partners like the City of Roseville Grants Advisory Commission, we literally save lives. Thank you for your time and your attention and, of course, your support.
Great. Wow. Wow. Thank you very much for the work that you're doing, and especially during this time of COVID. And you don't have to watch the news or read the paper to very much to see the increases in some of these feelings. So we do appreciate having that resource available here in the community. Commissioners?
Yeah, I have a couple questions and comments. I want to say that in the past, you guys had a waiting list for services, and with opening the Roseville location, you may still have a waiting list, but I don't know if you've seen movement in that area.
It has improved. During COVID, we actually opened up an office in Roseville first, and then later on we opened up, about 6 months later, we opened up an office in Auburn because we continue to see a need. Pre-COVID, we had about 18 staff. We are now up to 25 paid staff positions, so we have kind of blown up during COVID, and we have seen the wait list go up from 12 to 14 weeks, and then when we opened the offices, for a while there, we were down to virtually no wait list. But since then, because of COVID and the more and more families that are reacting to the poor circumstances that they face, more and more people are coming in. We are currently at about 8 weeks of wait list. But it fluctuates. When we open up Rockland, we anticipate that will go down a little bit as well.
Okay, and then just one more quick one. Since you had to do some virtual programming during the time that we were in our lockdown, right. I know a lot of organizations have found that a lot of that virtual program they did as an interim can be continued and available as a resource long term. Have you? I mean, obviously the nature of counseling is a little right. different, but I don't know if there would be some opportunities that you've seen from continuing the virtual information and programming that you have.
That's a great question. When COVID finally made its way to California, we were prepared. We closed on a Friday and we opened up on a Monday morning from home. So it was completely uninterrupted, and about 97% of all of our clients transitioned to the remote counseling. We disbanded our group sessions because it didn't really work on Zoom. And so we found right now a lot of the clients want to be in person, but a lot of them continue because they're afraid of COVID and maybe possibly they're not vaccinated yet. They wish to continue remotely, which we give them the option.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Gary, thank you very much for the work that you do continuing.
We very much appreciate you. And I, too, have another meeting, so I'm going to scoot as well. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for making time for us this evening.
Of course. Right. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Our next presenter, Placer Veteran Stand Down. Or not. Okay, we'll just put them on hold in case timing thing. Let's move to the next one. A Touch of Understanding. That's our next presenter. Okay. Keaton's Child Cancer Alliance. Okay.
Pass these out to you all.
Sure.
Apologies. I think the email said 7 packets were needed, so we might need to share some.
Yeah, we can share if we need to.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's
Well, we have some, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, the commissioners were the ones that the packets were for.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you.
We didn't want anyone to.
Thank you.
Oh, and then I have an extra if there was someone.
We can put
Yeah,
it right
for
here.
Michelle.
Yeah.
Perfect. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jessica Alonso, the Executive Director for Keaton's Child Cancer Alliance. I'm honored to be here this evening to connect with each of you, especially since September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. We are currently in the midst of our campaign to glow gold to honor children who are currently fighting cancer, siblings, those who unfortunately have been taken to cancer, and then, of course, all of their family and loved ones who have been impacted by cancer. So in the packets before you, we have a few different elements that speak to our programs, but I also included a brief PowerPoint slide that I'll briefly follow, but we'll kind of add to it and move away from. So just today, actually, I had the honor of connecting with a mom of a teen boy that has been fighting cancer and has been a part of our program for over 5 years now. And she really said it best. She said, "Jessica, you and Keaton's are truly filling a niche. The work that you all do, if it did not exist, our families would truly be at a loss, because it is a great need to have this customized family navigation support when from one day to the next, our lives completely change. And we now go from a normal potential life to fighting every single day for our child to survive. With beginning the journey and not knowing all that it entails, and potentially not even being able to think about all that it entails, the overwhelming nature and difficulty coping. And yet Keaton's is here from day one, from the moment of diagnosis, when we're referred to your organization. And we know that we're not alone in this journey. And so through your support, thankfully, our Family Navigator program has continued to not only exist, but grow and evolve to be able to support the unique needs of our families. I included a few numbers, which I believe, of course, are always helpful and important, but also the psychosocial support, being able to address the trauma that our families are experiencing from that moment of diagnosis and beyond, knowing that their lives are forever changed, is truly what's unique to our program, where you have a family navigator, a social worker that walks alongside you and collaborates with your hospital social worker to address your unique needs, being able to ensure that you have transportation to get to and from appointments, gas, tires for those families that are driving 6 hours round trip to get their child to treatment, lodging needs as well, and especially during COVID, all of those needs were enhanced when community resource centers were closed and unable to receive them, when parents were no longer able to be at the hospital together and siblings have not been able to step foot in a hospital over this past year and a half, causing more isolation, separation, PTSD, anxiety, depression overall for everyone involved. And due to that need, we made the theme of this year connectivity, being able to find unique ways to bring our families together, knowing that parents connecting with parents, siblings meeting other siblings, patients meeting other patients, truly provided a unique support system that will help them get through this experience. And so we're committed to together we fight, together we overcome, and together we will heal through this experience. Being able to come together as a community, again, with support from grantors and partners such as the City of Roseville, is truly making an impact. Last year, we were able to touch a total of 1,500 individuals in our region, about 300 families. To date, just as of mid-year, some of the numbers that I shared with you today in the packet, were well over 1,300 individuals just within the first 6 months of this year. And that is in great part due to having monthly mutual aid support groups through different activities, such as one of our partners, Heart's Landing Ranch, a huge event at Thunderland, other gaming events to be able to connect teens in ways that they can only connect with through gaming and other activities. We've had art therapy groups for moms alone to be able to come together and support one another through creative writing as well. And so through these activity-based groups, we've been able to truly support our families and make a huge impact. And more of those details are included in your packet and some of the other materials as well.
Wow. Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
So thank you for the effort of Keaton Childhood Alliance and the things you're doing in the community and supporting those locally, as well as the hospitals that are having people come from out of the area, but still need to have the support of those that are coming and that they're serving. Commissioners, anybody have any comments, any thoughts?
I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
Can you walk me through just an example of like a day in the life of a parent with a kid that's been diagnosed with cancer, where you guys step in and what you do? Like maybe one particular situation that comes to mind?
Absolutely. So usually the transportation piece is key, being able to ensure that a family from that moment, since from one day to the next, they're basically hospitalized. And so from that moment, the social worker will refer them to Keaton's, and we will reach out to the family. So at that point, we do an assessment to better understand that family's unique needs and then begin to address it. In most cases, it's financial need. There's new unbudgeted items that are coming to light now, such as extra parking at hospitals, the added gas expenses to get to and from, also added childcare sometimes for siblings, for those single mothers that no longer can take the siblings with them to the hospital. So we begin to analyze and assess support systems or lack thereof, which is the case for many families. And then we really learn to press in and find unique areas that the family could need support. We're hearing more and more of the mental health and social connections needs. And so, for example, there was a sibling as well that was having a very difficult time coping with her twin sister's diagnosis. And so we were able to connect her to another sibling. And she shared with Mom, I never knew how much I needed her, this sibling, a stranger, to be able to get through this experience. Or connecting another mom to another mom, where recently we heard, I can finally talk to someone who understands what I'm going through when my own family and friends potentially have even stepped away due to lack of knowing what to say or how to help or what to do. And so we help even navigate how to bring those people back into the lives of their families and give ideas of how to create that support system, but we continue alongside as well.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts or comments? Okay. Jessica, thank you very much for your time and what you do in the community here to support Roseville.
Thank you as well. It's our honor.
Okay, our next presenter this evening, we have Placer County Law Enforcement Chaplaincy. Okay. Another long-standing organization that's been supported, so look forward to hearing what you're doing in the community.
First of all, I'd like to build on what your chairman, Mr. Kritz, said about the foresight of the committee that took over the funds, but I want to thank you all for your diligence and stewardship for those funds currently, perpetuating that foresight and keeping the spirit of volunteerism, the spirit of giving, and the spirit of encouragement alive through this commission to the folks of Roseville. So thank you for that. I've been accused of being kind of Debbie Downer in some ways. I think it comes with the nature of what we do. But I'm encouraged by all of the uplifting stories that you will hear tonight and that we've already heard. On the other side of the coin, when those uplifting stories don't bear fruition in someone's life, that's often when we get the call and come alongside law enforcement to be able to step into someone's home or into a business or into some other entity and organization where there's a great need because of a significant loss, particularly a loss of relationship, long-standing relationship that someone might have either with a loved one or with an employee. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about what we did during COVID, just in a sentence or two, and that was that we never missed a beat. We were considered an essential service through all of 2020, and we responded to all the calls to which we were requested, which were increased by probably about 10% over our normal calls. And I provided all of those statistics for you in my last request for the funding. But just since January of this year, my volunteers have put in over 7,000 hours of availability to law enforcement and to the community for service. And that doesn't include our daily 24/7 dispatcher or supervisor that organize the volunteers that are on calendar ready to respond. So over 7,000 hours. Now we are county-wide, of course, so that's just availability. Many of those hours have gone to needs in Roseville in those months. In Roseville, since January through July, actually, excuse me, through June, January through June, we responded to 36 calls for service in Roseville and 123 calls countywide. We responded to in hours spent on scene, we spent over 90 hours on scene assisting Roseville residents, countywide over 430 hours just actually in homes or in businesses responding to folks who had need and needed to process the loss that they were experiencing. We've in Roseville this year, we've responded to 3 suicides, 20 coroner's cases, and delivered 13 death notifications. Again, that was just through June, and there's been, of course, some high-profile and very unfortunate circumstances that we've responded through July and August as well. So those will show up on the report next year. Let me just give you a quick story of one day in July. It happened to be a day of triple digits, and we set a record for number of calls in one day, which is not the kind of record you want to see. But we responded to 8 calls in one 24-hour period. Again, that was countywide, not simply in Roseville, but a couple of those calls were in Roseville. 8 calls. The decedents in those calls ranged from age 21 through 80 plus. The types of death that they suffered ranged from fentanyl overdoses to choking in a restaurant. So a wide variety of things that we will respond to, families that will come alongside of in need, and many of those were done without law enforcement on scene, which is unusual for us, but because that day was so busy, every agency in the county, from the sheriff's office down through Roseville PD, went from call to call to call to call and did not have the ability to come alongside those citizens and give them any of the support that they needed. And that's where we came in and were able to provide that support. One of those days that you just don't want to see again, but that was, like I said, that's just one experience that we've had just this year. So thank you for your support. Thank you for your diligence and your stewardship of those funds. My name is Mike Boone. I'm the Executive Director of Placer County Law Enforcement Chaplaincy and also the Senior Chaplain. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Thanks for the effort and the support that you provide to the community and to those that are in the worst days of their lives also, as you continue to serve and minister to them. Commissioners, anybody have any thoughts, questions? Okay. Thank you very much. Before we get on to our next presenter, I just kind of wanted to add one thing. I think several of our presenters have talked about the work that this commission does to continue to provide these funds and make these funds available. We are an advisory commission, so what we do is we make these recommendations and forward them to our city council, and our city council is the one that actually makes these grants and these funds available to the community, but they use us as the sounding board and the processing to make those recommendations. But it is something that is a priority to our city council. It has been since this was established and founded, and they continue to support this effort and look forward to seeing the impact that it has. So through these presentations, we're able to share that within our community, and I know that the council supports this activity wholeheartedly in what they do. Okay, so our next presenter is the Wellness Within Cancer Support Services. Okay.
Hello, Commissioners. Thank you for allowing me to present tonight. My name is Elizabeth Klein, and as you know, I am with Wellness Within Cancer Support Services. I'm here to talk tonight about our Wellness Within Community Cancer Wellness Project, for which we received $17,500 during the 2020 to 2021 grant period. When we proposed this project, it was for funding our mental health and physical movement cancer support offerings. Our goal was to increase and diversify those cancer support offerings and increase the growth to our center for people who needed these services. Our intention was to increase our services to about 275 attendees and targeting the Roseville residents. We also wanted to include business participation as well as other nonprofit participation in developing these resources. And then, as we all know, COVID hits. Gee, we all went a little sideways. What happened, however, is we didn't change our focus. We continued on, as so many of us here did. And we were tremendously successful. It wasn't that we didn't succeed in delivering and diversifying and offering and supporting our cancer community through the trauma and emotional support of cancer. It was how we did it. And as we all know, Zoom became extremely instrumental. We did do our support groups through Zoom, but we also did a lot of workshops through Zoom. We built a community through Zoom, but we also did podcasts and we did YouTube videos. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the significance of those podcasts in just a moment. The net result of that, because I like my numbers, is we did over 200 resources online, rather than 275 attendees to our center, which, trust me, I wouldn't want those people back into our center when our immune-compromised population can return to our center. But instead, we got over 13,000 engagements with our online resources. And that does include the Zoom, the podcasts, and the YouTube. And of those, the ones that we can tell, again, because we have the choice with our smartphones and our computers to set privacy settings. But of what we can tell, we know that we had at least 700 Roseville engagements with those online resources. So those are some of the numbers. And that was because we had funding from a grant like this in order to be able to do that and to pivot so quickly. Now, like I said, I love my numbers, but data isn't everything. What we also discovered is that we were providing resources that our medical community could use. And our medical community had to shift very, very quickly as well. My own oncologist had my appointment with me on Zoom. So things like our resource on lymphedema ended up being very, very popular, because that was a resource that they could use. We collaborated with Roseville businesses, such as Wigs Are You, who provided a resource on what to do with the trauma of losing your hair, which is that's a big trauma, as well as how to manage and tie a turban or something like that. LymphWorks, which is off of Sunrise, provided the lymphedema video I was just discussing. Finally, all 4 of the major cancer centers in our region provided content. They were podcast guests or on the video, and now the net result of that is that we become a regional consolidator of some of the best cross-system cancer talent in the area. And we've been being able to utilize our platform to the benefit of everybody in this area. Just this week, we're going to record a clinical trial podcast with 2 doctors, one from Sutter, one from UC Davis, and the American Cancer Society. So the power of what this grant has helped us to achieve is huge. But at the end of the day, it's not about the numbers or the medical professionals or any of that. It's about the people we served. And I can tell you about the patients who received chemotherapy by themselves, separated with face masks off. But they were able to listen to our voices, while our familiar voices, as they traversed their anxiety, but they were listening to a calming meditation. Or I can tell you about those with those compromised immune systems who said that how they felt like prisoners in their own homes, but they were able to attend our workshops, and they were able to do so with their online community who understood what they were going through. I can also tell you about the 3 men whose wives lost their battle, yet they were part of our Wellness Within caregiver support group, and they had each other and their licensed social worker to help them process that grief. So it's because of the funding that you all provide that we are able to support those people, and we are going to continue on to the future. So, thank you.
Wow. Well, thank you. And it's nice to see how that takes root, and the work that you do then can be spread through the community in the variety of different ways that it has through the connections that are made. Commissioners?
I just
Comments?
yes, I do. Thank you for your work. I have a personal interest in working with people with cancer, caregivers, and I was absolutely floored with all of the resources that you all put together very quickly. I'm following one of your yoga people. But yeah, it's a small community, but it's not, in terms of working with cancer patients. And I know how important that work is. Personally, been doing some of that work with someone. But I wanted to congratulate you on how impactful and you're showing how important and how vital and how valuable online communities can be. Mm-hmm. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Elizabeth, it's inspiring to me how you were able to grow exponentially at a time where everybody was shrinking and shutting down. So nice work, and thank you for the work you do.
Yeah, I just was curious. Obviously, you've had a lot of success with the online programming and sharing those resources to a much wider virtual audience. I don't know, and this probably isn't a quick, easy answer, but it just feels like a lot of groups have had to kind of shift to that presence, and not everyone knows how to record a podcast in a way that sounds professional or develop online content in a way that keeps people interested. It feels like if you've had a lot of success with it, I don't know if you guys have looked at sharing kind of here's some tips and tools of the trade, or if there's any kind of a community out there that, so people don't have to reinvent the wheel every time.
I think we would be happy to. I mean, one of the things I think that we are doing and finding out even more, especially in this region, but we're so focused in our cancer community, to be quite honest, is that amount of collaboration. I mean, for example, we recently just got asked to co-chair the survivorship work group with the California Dialogue on Cancer. So now we're getting to a statewide level. The thing that I don't know how to do, and maybe you all can help us, is how do we get that, how does that happen? How do we network amongst the other nonprofits in the area? Because we'd be happy to tell people how we did it. We were just honestly very lucky. I think our ED made a very, and I'm sure there are other EDs that do this as well, but she made a very quick decision. And then we just happened to have some resources, a person on our staff who just simply knew how to do it. So but the lessons that we have learned, I don't know why we wouldn't want to share them.
Okay, thank you. That's something for us to think about perhaps in future.
Yeah.
There's many opportunities for collaboration within the support group.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. So, Elizabeth, thank you very much for your time and being here this evening. All right. Thank you. Okay, our next is St. Vincent de Paul Society Roseville Conference.
Feels so good to take this mask off. Far enough away from you, I promise I won't infect you. And I've been vaccinated. My name is Tom Stanko, and I have the privilege of being the president of St. Vincent de Paul Society of Roseville. Last year, we received a grant. For the year 2021, we received a grant from the Citizens Benefit Funds for $30,000 that we spent the entire amount on our food locker program. During the fiscal year of 2021, the food locker averaged 700 visits to our food locker. This number would include 1,900 individuals living in these households. At each visit, these households will receive a shopping cartload full of food, including fresh fruits and vegetables, meat, dairy, cheese, and dairy products, stable foods, including pasta, dried beans, rice, canned goods, and of course we always give cookies, candies, and pastry for the youngsters and the adults too. There's a sufficient, each time they visit the food locker, they're given a sufficient quantity of food to prepare 9 nutritious meals for each member of the family. So, and people or households can visit our food locker once every week. So theoretically, they'd have at least half a week's worth of groceries when they leave our food locker. During this last fiscal year, our food locker distributed a sufficient quantity of groceries to prepare over 200,000 meals. In order to distribute this number of, or this quantity of groceries and to service this number of individuals, St. Vincent maintains a 6,000 square foot warehouse / office on Giuseppe Court. Now, I don't know how many people know where Giuseppe Court is, but it's very close to the intersection of Vernon and Kirby, so it's pretty central in Roseville. In collaboration with the Placer Food Bank, we have a fleet of 5 trucks that go out every day to pick up donated groceries at local grocery stores. These stores include Safeway, Bel Air, Rayleigh, Nugget Markets, and Trader Joe's. We can't forget Trader Joe's. In addition, and we need an army, and we have an army of volunteers that actually operate our food locker. These volunteers drive the trucks, unload the trucks, sort, store, place the items in bags to deliver to our clients, and put them in the clients' cars. We have over 200 volunteers at our food locker. Without them, we could not operate. And finally, we have a small dedicated staff with 2 full-time staff and 3 half-time staff that oversee the operations. With the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, and to help shield our volunteers, staff, and clients from this COVID-19 virus, we have made some modifications to our operations. These include mandatory masking, social distancing, hand washing, limited access to the office and the warehouse, and the change in the way the clients receive food. They used to be able to shop in our food locker. Now we place the items directly into their cars. There's no more shopping. Our mission at St. Vincent de Paul is to provide programs and services to prevent hunger and homelessness. This is always a tricky, there's a tricky to really measure your impact. But we do canvass our food locker clients every year with a written anonymous survey. In regard to food security, this last year, we asked our food locker clients if, in spite of the food that they received at in our food locker were they still skipping meals? 85% said that they did not have to skip a meal because of the food they received, but that still leaves 15% that are. Now, we are partly pleased with this result in knowing that this number is gradually increasing, so we hope that we'll have more next year that don't have to skip meals, but we won't be happy till we reach 100%. In measuring our impact on preventing homelessness, that is also a tricky nut to crack. We do it again with a survey. We ask the questions, if the St. Vincent de Paul food locker were not available to you, would your household be able to meet their monthly living expenses? To my surprise, this is the second year we did it, but to my surprise, 65% said no, they would not be able to meet their monthly housing expenses. So you can see how important we are to this clientele. I did leave a copy of the questionnaire. It has a lot of other interesting facts on it that you can look at that I thought were interesting anyhow. So finally, I'd like to thank the Commission for all their faithful years of listening to me. I'm not a great speaker. I write better than I speak. And to the City of Roseville for their funding. With God's help, for the last 37 years, we've been running our food locker program and helping prevent hunger in our community. Thank you very much.
Right. Well,
God bless you all.
So this is one of the things that I think many people in our community don't understand food insecurity, or even how close some are to not being able to provide for themselves. And thank you for stepping into that gap and holding some of those members of our community in a healthy position, both food as well as being able to meet their obligations and stay in their homes. So, we sometimes lose sight of how close many are. Commissioners, anybody have thoughts, questions? Okay. Tom, thank you very much for coming. And yes, you were very clear and articulate, so we do appreciate your presentation and what St. Vincent does in our community here.
Thank you.
Okay, our next presenter, Child Advocates of Placer County.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Katja Pollmann. I'm the Director of Family Services at Child Advocates, and I brought some help.
I'm Christy Varnum, and I am the Program Supervisor for the Family Mentor Program at Child Advocates of Placer County.
When I listen to the previous presenters, there's always this word of connection. I think we all work on connection, and that's one of our main purposes, connecting. Our biggest program at Child Advocates is court-appointed special advocates. I think most of you have heard of that. It's navigating the foster care system for kids who've just been detained. And we realize when we help these kids that to be able to really support their reunification with their parents, we have to help the parents. We have to help the whole family. So we started a whole family approach. And what both programs have in common are the volunteers. And the volunteers are really where the magic happens. Connection is healing for the kids and for the families. We work with parents that are really deeply rooted in their feeling of unworthiness. And that's where a lot of their abuse is coming from. And when we pair them with a volunteer that really cares, a volunteer that asks them, how are you today? A volunteer that calls every week, meets with them, supports them on their goals. That's where these families are healing. And the two of us, we provide two programs, and you have been supporting 2 programs with your grant, and thank you very much for that. So creating these relationships is what's healing, and Christy is here to give 2 examples of families that have been through the program. And I have all my numbers in here, and I would like to provide you with our impact report later.
Okay, thank you for having me. I want to speak to how our 2 programs work together in just a minute, but I'll come back to that and why they're so important, and that's really something unique that we do. But I want to start off by talking about there's so many successes. We have a lot of successes, and we have some really unique success. But I really want to talk about 2 of my successes that have been the most successful and have impacted me personally as I've watched them grow. So when I came across these 2 families, it was very early on. Both moms suffered from, had substance abuse, domestic violence, just years and years of trauma, very traumatic childhoods, on and on and on. When I came across each one of these moms, single moms, they both had their children detained by CPS. So they were moms without children. And they were, stripped to nothing, very desperate. And when I went out into the field to meet these moms and find out, where are you at? What can we do to support you in your process of reunification and in your healthy choices and onto a better life? Both of these moms, like I said, had their children detained. One mom was pregnant, very, very much pregnant. She was about 8.5 months pregnant, and her older child was detained, and she was in a program. So we matched her with a volunteer, which happened to be me at the time. I was her mentor, but I'm not a volunteer. And we, just supported her in her healthy decisions. She went through her programming, and time went on. I took her to the hospital to have her baby. She had a healthy, tox-free baby and a wonderful baby. And soon after that, her older son was reunited with her. So she then had her 2 little boys at her home. And she just, struggled with the everyday things that single moms struggle with. I'm happy to report on her that she is very successful, a very wonderful, loving, caring mother today, fully thriving with her 2 little boys that aren't so little anymore. They're getting bigger. And she's now went on to the Prosper Placer program from the Family Mentor program. And her children are thriving, and she's now working in the field. So she works for Granite Wellness. So she's giving back. She's come full circle. One other mom is also very near and dear to my heart. Both of her children were detained, and she was in program, and then went on to another. Is my time up, or can I keep going?
We could.
I'll just cut it short. So this mom, fully reunified with both of her children, beautiful mom. She is just like the model mom and single parent, and she is also fully thriving. Also went on to Prosper Placer and is she works for us. we just recently hired her for our new field person. So
Thank you for awarding us with the grant.
yeah.
Okay. Well, Casa, Christy, thank you both for the work that you do here in the community and continuing to support, again, that need within the community. Commissioners? Okay. Well, great. Thank you very much, and I do appreciate what you bring to the community.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you to all of you. We need to go. I have kids at home that I need to.
Everybody has demands. We appreciate that. Okay. See, I believe the next on the agenda is the gathering in. Okay. And then Tommy Apostolos. I know, but they're not on the list here, so we'll
Thank you so much for allowing me
see.
to add on. I apologize completely for the miscommunication.
Thank you.
And value your time. what I'm giving you is just a photo array of our program this last year, and just a token of our appreciation for all that you have done for us. That's awesome. So, for 30 years, first of all, my name is Hallie Romero. I'm the Executive Director of the Tommy Apostles Fund. For 30 years, the Tommy Apostles Fund took children shopping on the first Saturday in December. We invited the community to come out. We paired 2 volunteers with a child. They were able to roam the halls of Kohl's department store, shop with this child, and provide them clothing. And we paid the bill thanks to your generous grants. In 2020, things had to change, of course. And one of the things that was kind of very impactful to us is 3 days before our fundraiser, we only do one fundraiser a year, 3 days before our fundraiser was about to take place, everything shut down. Our fundraiser that usually has 500 attendees and raises all the money for our shopping was completely defunct and had to be canceled. So we could not have provided help for these children without the grant and support of your program. So thank you very much, because of that, we rethought how we did things, and we were still able to carry on. What we did, instead of bringing the children to Kohl's to shop, we partnered with the school district and with Kohl's to spread out our shopping time over a 2-day period. Volunteers were able to sign up online throughout those days. So instead of having a group of 700 volunteers at 5 a.m. in the morning on that first Saturday, we were able to spread that out where there were only 35 shoppers in the store at one time. We surveyed the children and the families that were nominated by teachers as to a little more intense application, where we asked what their favorite cartoon was, of course their sizes, and what the family thought that these children needed. And with that extensive survey, we were able to bring volunteers to Kohl's, give them the survey, allow them to go shop for the child. We had businesses donate trucks that we could cart those bags of purchased goods to each of the schools, and the schools had an afternoon where they distributed all the bags to the children. So it was a true partnership between a lot of groups, including the school district, Kohl's department store, who gives us a nice discount, and then also some businesses who gave of their time and energy to get those items to the schools. It made for a different experience, but what we really found is not only did we have more children in need and more families struggling, of course, during the pandemic, but also people wanted to do something. When it came to Christmas time last year, we'd all been in our houses for a very long time, and giving volunteers the opportunity, we've always had wonderful volunteers come out and shop with our kids, but giving them the opportunity to still do something for the community has really reinforced our mission. Our mission is to clothe the children of Roseville and to build self-esteem in those children by showing them that the community cares. And so showing that we were still able to do that was a huge success for us. Usually we are able to help about 500 children, and unfortunately we could only help about 450, and that was primarily because we had a little difficulty getting to those children. But we are looking towards the future and this next year and know that we will still be able to do something. I think that was the success of the year, is that no matter what and no matter the struggle, we still made it happen. There were still 450 children, special needs children, and struggling families that were able to get some help and that we were able to do something for, and at least 300 volunteers that were able to get out and show that they wanted to help someone too.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. What a wonderful impact it makes in the community to the kids that are being supported, but also providing the opportunity for shoppers to be able to help and assist as a volunteer. I have had opportunity to do that back when you shopped at Mervyn's, but that was a while back. But it was still, the experience was, it was wonderful. So, commissioners.
Hallie, I would like to thank you for all the work and the continued things that you've done all over the many years for Roseville students. Thank you for this awesome hat. I actually have had the honor of shopping for Tommy Pastelos at Kohl's, and this is awesome because it is cold and usually raining, and it's like a super fun Christmas holiday tradition to stand outside when it's still dark outside in the rain with coffee, waiting to get partnered with your student. So thank you. It's quite an experience to get to experience that, and you guys do an amazing job. Thank you.
Thank you, and we invite you all to join us on December 4th. No matter what the case, there will be something going on that day to where we'll be able to shop for kids. Thank
All right,
you.
great. Okay, Holly, thank you very much. Let me wait a second. So, okay, I have, that was the end of our list, but I do know that take the opportunity to see some other presenters that possibly
We have her paperwork up here, right?
okay.
I had spoken with
You're with,
I've been missed from the list. Feel free to go ahead.
yeah, it's free. Feel free, yeah. Mhm. So you're with,
Sorry about that.
Stand up, Placer.
okay, Stand Up Placer. Okay.
Hi, I'm Louise Arquilla with Stand Up Placer, and as everyone else has shared, I would like to thank you all so very much for the support you've shown us over many, many, many years on helping this population of victims that we are serving. This year found me really kind of reflective. It's been a real reality check in so many ways for us. The first time I accepted a check was in 2011, and I was brand new, and I had not done the application, but I did accept the check for you guys. And it made me think about, when I was doing this report for you and thinking about today, about how many things have changed and how much has not, and how much impact has been made and how much impact is yet to be made. So I left you a report that has stats, but I don't really want to focus on that. What I would like to share is we served 903 Roseville residents last year, and if you would have asked me last October if we would have served 300, I would have been surprised because of the level of lockdown, and given that our population was locked down with the very people who were hurting them, and they had absolutely no way to reach out for help. How do you safely reach out for help when you can't call our 800 line, which is there 24/7 and was still there 24/7? But in 2011, we served about 1,200 people total in the agency for the entire county. We have tripled the number of people who need help that we've been serving every year since 2011. We've doubled it since 2016. We serve about 4,000 people annually now, and that is such a huge scope that is both good and bad. Like many of you guys, for COVID, yes, we also had to cancel our major fundraiser 10 days before it started. One of the things where we were able to get a little bit ahead was our leadership team kind of saw things coming, said, hey, do we need to worry about this? And we started asking questions of our other funders, and they told us we couldn't, no, you have to do in-person services. So, of course, by the time the lockdown hit, they said, do what you need to do. So, as hard as this was, and as tough as it was, we really had a lot of opportunities to relook at how we did things and to change them, and to change them in a way that was for the better. So one of the really neat things that we've wanted to do for a long time was to have secure chat available so that people who could not call and speak could have a way to speak silently with an advocate. Statistics tell us that just one session with a domestic violence advocate reduces lethality by 60%. So I would like you guys to know, since our grant focused upon victim services, mainly crisis intervention and therapy in the immediate aftermath of it, these are the moments when people really need help and often have no one to reach out to. And your support has helped to ensure that these 903 people in Roseville were able to get help when they needed it most. One of the other neat things that happened was pivoting everybody to remote work. Left some of our staff who maybe would have done other office duties with time to enhance their training. And of course, since everything was Zoom, we did lots and lots of Zoom training, both internally and for staff. Like many, we moved to a telehealth model. But unlike some agencies, we never closed our doors because we are essential services and people need us now. And there were always people who needed to see someone in person. There were people who were raped and who were at a hospital for a forensic medical exam. And to have a staff or volunteer member there in person really helped that time. It made a difference in that person's life at that moment. There was a short time when the entire hospital was locked down, and we had to provide that by telephone, and it wasn't the same. Some of our groups moved to online only, some with video on Zoom. Some groups preferred the privacy of having just a phone call. All of those things have offered us new opportunities to find ways to serve people. So yes, telehealth is going to be a part of our model. If you work too far away to make it for a therapy appointment, or if you don't have transportation, then you can have telehealth and you can receive those same services. So we've found that as we were closed in and as we saw our boundaries, we found ways to reach beyond our boundaries and to find new ways to assist those in most need. That's where the impact comes. So I shared some stories with you, and I want to share only 2 pieces from them, and that's the end. I have a story from Maria, who's Hispanic. I'd like to share the very, very last part with you. She was able to come to a place of complete forgiveness for a family member who abused her sexually as a child by connecting to how they were wounded by a family abandonment. This was a domestic violence survivor. Intergenerational trauma, as many, many families have. That, to me, is one of the most profound statements I have ever heard. To have someone say she is at peace with her past and does not feel defined by it. She is changing things for her entire family and for generations that will come to follow her. That is impact. And then another one that I'd like to share is we had a sexual assault survivor who was too afraid to leave her home. Trauma-informed care sometimes means you do something that's really out of the box. And in this case, it was the advocate attending her classes with her at the gym 2 times. And then she could attend them on her own after that. That's impact. And those are the lives that you touch with your support and why I'm so grateful. Thank you.
All right. Louise, thank you very much for the work that you do and the impact that you're having in the community here. So I love these stories. Commissioners?
Louise, I would like to thank you very much for the stories, as well as the rest of you tonight that have provided some impact stories. And it was super powerful to get to tour the Pedal Connection, the facility, but so many of you do things where there's no tour that we would really want to have to endure, that the people that you guys help. We're super thankful to be able to support and hear what we're supporting, the resources that you do. I do have one quick question for you about your safe house that you mentioned here. It says 131 adult residents with 15 children fled life-threatening violence were admitted to the safe house. Do you have a waiting period or a capacity for your safe house? How does that work?
Capacity at the safe house has been an adventure with COVID. It ranged from as few as 5 households during the thick of things, which we have 5 kitchens with our 13 bedrooms. So it's easier to think of our safe house as serving 13 households rather than having 40 beds or 55 beds, because we pack lots of beds in so we can fit a bigger family in. So we can serve roughly 13 households. Pre-COVID, we would put single people dormitory style and have them share a room, but post-COVID, the rooms are small. They are not 150 square feet, so you can't put 2 people in them for an overnight if they are not, if they are not related. We moved to 50% capacity, and then in spring we were at 75% capacity, and now we are at full capacity again. There is a wait of getting a COVID test. We also follow coordinated entry. We are a part of the continuum of care, and we follow the policy of having the most vulnerable people enter first. We also have made extensive use of motel vouchers, both for while we were waiting, sometimes many, many days to get COVID tests back, because sometimes it took as much as a week. Also, if we've had to quarantine people who were infected. Fortunately, we've had no large outbreaks, but people at the safe house are not quarantined. They are not quarantined from the world. They go about their lives. If you have a job, you go to work. You take your children to school pre-COVID, but you still have to do grocery shopping. So there is the same inevitable exposure that we all face, despite our best precautions. We're happy to report that we are full again. Pre-COVID, we were providing about 10,500 bed nights every year. I think we will not make that for calendar. We didn't for last time. We were about at 6,000. And part of that was because people they were afraid to even come to the safe house during the lockdown, which was really, really sad that we had people, we said, we have a space for you, it's here. And they were afraid to come because they were more afraid of COVID than they were of being abused. And that stuff just breaks my heart. So I'm really pleased at what we're doing. We are currently in a safe house renovation project through ESG Coronavirus CARES Act to help improve like the air systems to reduce the spread of disease through airborne stuff and to reconfigure our kitchens to be more socially distant so that as this pandemic continues or another one starts, that we are better equipped to help keep people safe from a health perspective as well as a domestic violence and sexual assault and trafficking perspective.
Thank you so much for what you do.
And I would love to offer you a tour of our new facility. One of the exciting things that happened was we moved to Derrick Place from our old location. So I would be more than happy to facilitate a tour for you of our Roseville service office. We just moved in March.
Oh, great.
That would be fantastic. We had another nonprofit, the Pedal Connection, reached out to all of us with an invitation within our window where it was acceptable to go out and visit, and that was something that was super valuable. So as far as time frame, I bet Jonathan Levy could probably tell you when a good time for us to do
Yes,
that
let me
would
know.
be.
And to whom should I reach out? Should I talk to Christine or at the city, or just let me know. I'll leave you my card and just let me know what you'd like to do, and we'll be more than happy to have you take a tour. The new facility's great.
And that is one of the things that commissioners are encouraged to go out and see some of the stuff that's going on in the community. We're able to do that when we're not in an active grant application process, which won't start until January, December. So this would be a good opportunity to be able to take some folks out and see that. But tonight's presentation also is part of what we're doing, is getting the word out of the great work that's going on in the community and making that available to community members in ways that they may not have had access to in the past or wouldn't have access to in their normal day-to-day wanderings here.
Great. Thank you so much.
Any other thoughts, commissioners?
No.
Okay.
Thank you all so
All right,
much.
Louise, thank you very much. Okay. That's the docket that we have. Is there anybody else that wanted to present?
This is crossover
You're one of our
basketball.
recipients?
Yeah, crossover basketball.
So my name's Leah Dunn, and I work at an organization called Campus Life. So what we do is we work with middle school and high school students, and we provide a lot of after-school programs. We also work on campus with different high schools and middle schools as well. So this past year, we obviously were met with COVID, and we had to adapt. So what we did was we started off with Zoom online. So we paired some of our high schoolers with Roseville senior living community because we knew that they were really the most isolated out of everyone. And we would do Zoom meetings with them. We played Jeopardy over, online, and it was hilarious and so fun. They started writing letters a little bit back and forth. So that was kind of where we started with it. We eventually, were allowed to do some things with arts and crafts for them after school. So we had somebody come in, they brought in some sewing machines, and they learned how to sew their own masks when there was a shortage. So then they learned how to sew some scrunchies, pillowcases, that kind of thing, just to kind of keep them engaged and entertained. We did some bike riding, something that was outdoors for them where they were spaced out, but gave them an opportunity to see each other, to still be engaged, and also be in nature. So we took them wakeboarding over summer. Some of them had never been before. We had a couple staff that had boats or knew someone that had a boat, and they offered to take our kids out. And it was just providing them a little bit of life experience in a time when there was so much depression. I think what the most successful program that we had last year was our cheer program, which we've had for a while. We obviously had to shut down, and imagine doing cheer over Zoom with high school girls. We saw a lot of foreheads and ceiling fans the whole time, and it was pretty hilarious, but they were cheering. We would get them together, and one of the most impactful stories, I think, for me was when we finally could get together. And for a couple weeks I was meeting, a girl would pull me aside and just shared with me some of the darker thoughts she had, and eventually came to a point where together we decided, I was going to have to make a phone call to the police. And she was, in a really dark place. And so this was the first time I ever had to do this. So I'm like, okay, what do I do? So I call, the officer. I go inside, and another girl pulls me aside. And she's like, I just got diagnosed with depression, anxiety. She's telling me about, some home life stuff, CPS reports, just things that I had seen before, but really this last year, the impact on these teenagers of isolation was so evident to me. And so we were able to, build those relationships with them. I was in contact with their school counselors because I do work at the campuses, so I have relationships there with them. Talking to their parents, obviously, about all that stuff. And at the end of the season with the cheer girls, we sent out a survey. And we just asked, what were some of the things you guys learned? And one of the most overwhelming from all of them, because we told them every practice, you guys are loved, you guys are valuable, you guys have a place here, you belong. And almost all of them just responded with, we feel loved, we feel valuable, and we know we belong here. So to me, I thought it was really just successful. We started this year, we're continuing to do more programs. I just get emotional, sorry. But we just gave a bunch of backpacks to some of the Roseville students that really needed it. We partnered with some of the Section 8 apartments. They were stuffed with, goodies of notepads, pens, pencils, stuff to get them kind of going. We dropped some off at some of the Roseville schools, too, for their wellness center to use. And we're just going to continue going with after-school programs. We're able to do a lot more this year, so I'm kind of excited about what that's going to look like with our teen center. We've got a group of basketball guys that have been meeting with my husband back here, and they're still engaged. The league closed down last year, but they're still doing some practices, and so that's what I'm really looking forward to. Did I go over, or am I just under?
No, you still got a little time. Yeah.
So I wanted to thank you guys for what you were able to do to help us meet with those students, especially those that were really struggling, and to just fund the programs that we're doing and to continue doing that. We appreciate that. So thank you.
Okay, great. Laura, thank you for that work that you do. And again, we don't know until we develop and come close to somebody in a relationship to some of the struggles that they may be dealing with. So being able to bridge that gap, what a difference you can make in somebody's life. It's amazing work. Commissioners? Okay. Thank you very much.
And then this lady here.
Okay. So at that point, we've gone through all the presentations from those that responded and participated tonight. So thank you, all the presenters, for coming and spending time with us this evening. That's it for the presentations. So on to our wrap-up here. This is item number 7. This is going to be commissioner and staff reports. So commissioners, any report outs?
Just want to say thank you officially to all the nonprofits, those of you who took the time to share with us and the community what you do. You all demonstrate immense passion for what you do, and it really touches my heart. So officially, formally, I wanted to say thank you to all of you. That's why I sit on the commission, is to help. It's one way I can give back to all of you who are dedicating your life and soul to the people and the community that you have selected to serve. So thank you.
Well said, Commissioner Haywood. Commissioner Carroll?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you, especially in the room who stayed. Hopefully it was a good opportunity for you to hear as well, from some of the other organizations. There's a lot of kind of similar kinds of things and also complementary things. So maybe you heard about a group that you didn't know as much about and may have some synergy going on in the future. And I know some people are watching. So thanks to everyone. We have such a neat community. You talked about one of the things that makes Roseville special is hearing about all this stuff. We're trying to do more to push out, these kinds of things. There's lots of activities going on that unless you're really involved, you may not know about. So this is one of those opportunities to promote a lot of the good stuff that is going on. And it is a pleasure and an honor to be part of the commission and just to hear all the neat happenings. So thank you for all you guys do to make the community better. And thank you to our staff for coordinating this event.
Okay, thank you.
I'll add something.
Okay.
So as one of the newest commissioners, I'm grateful to experience this and get an insight as to where the funds go and how you all utilize it. it's very touching to hear your stories and seeing how some of you get emotional, whether it's tearful or excited. And it just makes me think of you all and the line staff doing the groundwork and how that impacts you day to day, and you still continue to show up and do it, which is very inspirational even during COVID. So I appreciate all of your works.
I'll just take a quick minute because I know I've already said a lot of comments. Thank you
all
so
right.
much to everybody that took time to let us know and show up tonight. Let us know how the work is being done and what you guys are doing in the community. It's very, very valuable to us as commissioners to get to see and hear what you guys are doing in the community and how we're able to support that. And we appreciate all of the good work you do. Thank you.
And Youth Commissioner Bashir, all the way down there on the end.
Yes, I also wanted to say thank you to everyone who did spend and put in a lot of time and energy during COVID. I know it was very hard on all of us, but like specifically the stuff that you guys have put in and the time, it means a lot to us, and I don't think you guys would ever understand how much we needed you as a community as a whole. And we really appreciate your help, and we look forward to continue seeing that in the community.
Okay. Well, great. And for me, this has been a great experience. You go through listening to the presentations here. This is just a portion of those that were actually awarded funds this year, and that was a subset of those that actually applied for grants this year also. So that's the difficult part for me, is trying to align that with what we had established in our community needs assessment, and unfortunately say no to some other great causes and other great work that's going on in the community. But we'll continue doing the best that we can to make those recommendations to council. Just continue to do the work that you're doing in the community, and we'll support it the best way that we can. So I certainly do appreciate your work and your effort. Staff, any report outs?
I do need to make a comment. Does yours work? Because I don't think mine works. No, maybe not. Okay, well, I'll just try to be loud for you guys. I would like to apologize and hope that you guys work with us while we have some staffing changes and growing pains. Heather is going to be taking over as secretary for me after this meeting. So welcome, Heather.
Thank you.
Great. Well, welcome, Heather. We look forward to continuing to support. Okay. Okay. With that, it looks like we've made it through the agenda. There's one final item, which is the adjournment. We'll be adjourning to the October 12th. It will be the next meeting, but I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Commissioner Haywood makes a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Commissioner Haywood moves to adjourn. I have a second.
Commissioner Carroll, second.
Commissioner Carroll seconds that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Then we stand adjourned to October 12th. All right, thank you very much.